Hello my fellow Nightcrawlers, welcome to a brand new video. As usual, grab your blankets and grab your snacks and get comfortable because today we're going to the case of Candance Newmaker. This one is just flat out disturbing, to put it as simply as possible. I don't even want to hint too much about it, just so that way it eases you all into the stuff that happens. And in all honesty, I don't even want to spend too much time talking. So enough of my blabbering, let's hop into the case of Candance Newmaker. Our story starts off on November 19th of 1989. Candance Newmaker was born in North Carolina to Todd and Angela Elmore. Her early life was rather difficult. She was only 5 years old when her biological parents basically had their parental privileges revoked due to negligence in the household. This basically left her and her siblings to be put into the foster system. She eventually found a family 2 years later, when she was 7 years old. Her adopted mother was named Jean Newmaker. She's a single woman and was a pediatric nurse practitioner. To put it simply, if you have that type of job, you should be fine financially, so it seemed like things were going to be looking up for Candance, you know. Loving mother, she's able to get the bills paid, it seemed like things were going to go well for her. Keyword there was seemed. It's about to get really bad really quickly. Within just a few short months of adoption, Jean started taking Candance to a psychiatrist. It was cited that this was done because Candance was acting up at the house. Not only acting up, but Jean also cited that Candance wasn't displaying any signs of attachment to her. Her behavior only got worse as the years went by. This was after many different therapists and a plethora of prescriptions for medication. It allegedly got so bad that Candance actually killed her pet goldfish. Again, allegedly, we don't really know for certain. As time went on, it seemed like Jean was getting fed up with everything. She'd gone through what felt like hundreds of therapists, plethoras of different medication, and Candance wouldn't get fixed. It then came around to April of 2000, when Jean had discovered a cure that would fix Candance. This cure was a form of attachment therapy. To be even more specific though, what Candance was going to be going through was a thing called rebirthment treatment. I'll touch on that in a second. Attachment therapy is purported to be a treatment for a reactive attachment disorder. The thing is though, attachment therapy is considered to be a pseudoscientific form of therapy. One part of the therapeutic process is called holding therapy. It basically involves physically restraining the child. There's also other forms where they'll pin the child down, yell at them, and demand them to answer certain questions, etc., etc. It's basically abuse at that point. I don't know how this stuff was okay, honestly. It's already pseudoscientific. It's not in the mainstream. No modern scientists or therapists or psychologists would even consider this to be remotely okay. So I mentioned earlier that it's supposedly a treatment for a thing called reactive attachment disorder. I kind of want to touch on reactive attachment disorder just a little bit. So reactive attachment disorder, or RAD, I'm not even lying, RAD, yeah, so radical, dude. RAD is a very uncommon disorder that mainly affects children from 9 months to 5 years old. And it's predominantly found in children that have experienced some sort of neglect. You're most likely going to be finding this with children in the foster system. Basically, kids that don't have the emotional attachment to a guardian or parent most likely are to get this. Again, it's very, very uncommon though. Children that have RAD rarely seek or show signs of love to parental figures in their life, mainly like adopted parents and whatnot. This is basically just a surface level understanding. If you're wanting to, you can read the whole Wikipedia page about it and get a little bit more information. I just didn't want to spend 30 minutes talking about RAD. I just wanted to cover it in a way that could quickly get across what it meant. So if you wanted to research it, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can keep watching. Just do your thing. Now here's where stuff gets interesting. Candance was never diagnosed with RAD. I looked all over. I read many different articles. Never once did it say that Candance had RAD. So this attachment therapy that she was about to go through, which again is pseudoscientific and has no studies supporting that it works, might not have even been the right thing for her. It's more likely that there was some other behavioral issue going on. It wasn't RAD. It was probably something else. Candance traveled with Jean to Colorado for a $7,000 2-week attachment therapy session. The therapist that they were going to be working with was named Connell Watkins, and just to be clear, she didn't have a license at all. Connell was recommended by Candace's licensed psychiatrist. The only reason they found them was through a professional with a license. Why would they recommend someone that didn't have a license? You'd think that'd be the first thing they check. Like, okay, are they licensed to be doing these things? Maybe, no, okay. Candace endured 2 weeks of this attachment therapy. In the final session, they decided to utilize a thing called rebirthing treatment. I mentioned this earlier. During the rebirthing process, in an attempt to simulate the birth canal, the patient is tightly wrapped in a sheet, then laid under a pile of pillows. The therapist then puts their body onto the child. The patient must then wiggle out of the sheet and then the pillows, then being reborn into the arms of their loving parents. What? The rebirthing was videotaped so that way Candace's mother could watch it from the other room. In the end though, the video didn't really provide anything for Candace's mother. It was more a good bit of evidence in convicting Connell Watkins and her assistants. Let's hop into it. At the beginning of the video, Watkins informs Candace to lay on top of the sheet and curl up in a fetal position. The sheet is then pulled tightly around her and then tied at the top and bottom, so there's basically no easy way to escape. She is then told by the therapist, imagine yourself as a teeny little baby inside your mother's womb and what it felt like. Warm. It felt tight because her stomach was all around you. As soon as she finishes speaking, 3 of her assistants then pile on top of Candace with very large pillows, basically crushing her under the weight of her assistants. To put in perspective how much weight was being pressed upon Candace, of the 4 adults, that made up 673 pounds or 305 kilograms. Candace was a 10-year-old girl. She only weighed 70 pounds or 31 kilograms. 673 pounds. Gosh. And you gotta think about it this way too. She's trapped in this sheet. It's dark. 600. Ugh. I don't understand how they thought this was going to go well, or like how this was okay and how this was therapy. Watkins then instructs Candace to come out head first and that you have to push really hard with your feet. If you stay in there, you're going to die and your mommy's going to die. It only took 8 minutes into the rebirthing treatment when Candace started to really start freaking out and start expressing that she really can't escape. She questioned, "Who's sitting on me?" and then said, "I can't do it. I can't do it." Then she began to cry. And then at roughly 10 minutes into it, she starts stating that she can't breathe. "Whoever is pushing on my head, it's not helping. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't breathe. It's too dark under here. Please quit pushing on my head. I can't do it. Somebody's sitting on top of me." She struggled for an hour longer, begging and pleading, saying that she's going to die and that she can't breathe. At one point, one of Watkins' assistants told her that if she wanted to die, she should do it. For just over 70 minutes, Candace struggled and died in those sheets. She vomited and defecated inside the sheets, ultimately leading to asphyxiation, killing her. It's believed she died roughly 20 minutes before the footage actually came to a close. This is because apparently for the last 20 minutes, it's just dead silent, which is so disturbing. As soon as she was unwrapped from the sheets, her mother began freaking out, and then Watkins began trying to perform CPR on her. Right there, the video ends, but later on, Candace was pronounced dead from asphyxiation at a local hospital. A year after Candace's death, Watkins and her assistant were tried and convicted of reckless child abuse, resulting in death, and received 16-year prison sentences. Candace's mother pled guilty to neglect and abuse charges. She was given a 4-year suspended sentence. Watkins was paroled in June 2008. This was with intense supervision and major restrictions on contact with children, understandably. This one frustrates me immensely because she only got 7 years out of the 16 that she was supposed to be serving. How do you let a person like that go on parole? Candace's death was a nationalized thing. It eventually led to a law passing in North Carolina and in Colorado called Candace's Law. This basically outlawed any dangerous rebirthing acts, which it's crazy that there has to be a law for that. Candance Newmaker's death is one that could have been avoided. It frustrates me to no end knowing that she died for no reason. But I mean, like, I'm not surprised that there's still like these ancient practices and whatnot that are still being utilized. I mean, like in the 1950s or 60s, weren't there like uranium based toys? There was like a whole laboratory kit and you could get like uranium ore. And it's like, why would you sell that? But, gosh, knowing that it's pseudoscience and that someone died unnecessarily because of it is just, it frustrates me. Because it's just so unnecessary. It's an unnecessary death. Before we hop into the end segment though, I would like to thank my first Tormented Knight and my Knighted Patreons. For my first Tormented Knight, we got Chew You Up Like Bubblegum. For my Knighted Patreons, we got Bunny, Catherine, Lint, Magdalena, Shizen, Steffi Muse, Teddy Elliott, and your boy Cam. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for your very generous support. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, why not like and subscribe? It definitely helps me out. If you didn't, why not dislike and let me know what I can improve on for next time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the next one.